5 out basketball, 5 segments, 5 takes. This is the podcast for NBA conversations. This is 5 out basketball, and it starts in 3, 2, 1.
So I want to show some love. You gotta balance it out a little bit. There's a player I really like to crap on a lot, but the guy's been hooping. So we're gonna show him some love in a player breakdown. And that player is Jalen Green. 30 games in the season, I genuinely thought Jalen Green was going to be like competing for minutes with the Guangdong Tigers. Like, I thought he was China bound for a little bit. But the Sengun injury happens, and suddenly he's a whole new player. I have two really fun statistics for you, Everton. And we're
I
going to
also
talk.
do have some. I do have some nice stats too.
So, first off, just his number since the Sengun injury.
Okay.
Only like it's 5 games, but in those 5 games, he's averaging 29.4 points per games, 8 rebounds, and 3.4 assists on better efficiency, all those games being wins.
Yeah.
And then another one is he has the D'Angelo Russell factor where post trade or post All-Star break, post trade deadline just becomes the best player in the NBA.
Yeah.
2022, he went from 14.6 points per game before the All-Star break to averaging 27.1.
Damn.
Or it might be 23. My handwriting's bad. It's one of the two.
Hey, it's
Then-
numbers.
And then 2022, 2023 wasn't a big jump, but he went from 21.8 to 23. And then this season, he went from 18 to 23.3.
Damn. So you
This
just
guy-
hoops after
Yeah.
after
That was it.
after the All-Star break.
Give him a spring break, and suddenly the boy knows how to hoop. Yeah, let him go to Fort Lauderdale in Florida for a week, and
he's
suddenly the
good.
guy can hoop. Yeah.
So
he's just a sorority girl.
That's crazy, but low key that was tough. That was low key tough.
Thank you.
Numbers I had. There's this weird thing with NBA players, and I know what it is. When they become fathers,
Oh,
they suddenly
God.
start hooping different. People say it's because he got a family to feed.
Yep.
So since the announcement that he would be having a kid, this man has been averaging 28, 6.5, 3.5 rebounds on 50, 42. And if you've been seeing the highlights, some of them things
we're
are
gonna
weird.
get into that in a second
Okay,
because those
perfect.
highlights are disgusting.
Insane.
But who would have thought all a player needed was responsibilities and motivation?
I'm telling you, bro, it's like clockwork.
Yeah, because that man has emerged, and the Houston Rockets are on a 7-game win streak in total, not like even including the games before Sengun got injured.
Mhm.
And so the pros of Jalen Green is what I want to talk about because as Everton just got into, this guy is a highlight reel. It's
Yes.
disgusting. You
Mhm.
could talk about the poster he had against Anthony Simons. There we go, against Trailblazers. And then the
That was
ankle breaker
nasty.
he had against the Wizards where he shattered the guy, stared him down for a couple seconds, then nailed from 3.
And it turns
Jalen Green
around.
is a walking highlight reel, and those are
The
always
layup?
my favorite players.
What about the layup?
I forgot about the layup. Everton, tell him about it. Tell him about it.
Yo, my man's driving to the lane, right hand up, brings it all the way down and puts it back up. And hey, some of y'all were capping though. This would have been Michael Jordan's best highlight. Simmer down, calm down. Okay,
Yeah.
calm down. Y'all haven't seen MJ highlights. We're done with the 90s, I guess. But yo, that layup was nasty. The dunks you just brought up were nasty. That ankle breaker to drop him,
Disrespectful.
look to your left and look at him.
Mhm.
Shoot the ball and turn around, and it goes. Nah.
You can't script a highlight better than that. Like you
No,
actually
literally.
cannot. And I'm just very excited to see this because this is the Jalen Green we were promised out of the draft.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. The only thing I am begging for is consistency because we've always seen these flashes in his career. He's always been able to produce crazy moments like this, but it's never happened on a consistent basis. So before we get into more pros and cons, Everton, my big question when it comes to Jalen Green is, can we see this consistently, especially since he is now a father? He is now Mr. Green.
I think with Jalen, I think early on in the season, he struggled with figuring out his role. Like I feel like his first 2 seasons in the NBA, it was like, yo, AAU, hoop, go do your thing. We don't have a system here, so just do whatever you want. And then Ime comes in and he's like, oh no, we're playing real basketball now. You got Dylan Brooks and Fred, which were underrated signings, by the way.
Mhm.
You bring in those 2 dudes, you're kind of switching up the system. Oh, you're playing Sengun ball. I think Jalen was just struggling with like figuring out where he fits in at. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And I feel like now he's really gotten into his groove and he's starting to figure it out. And if he can, I think with this, like maybe going into next season, you have a training camp. Now that he has a like more assertive role and like more like he's in his role, so he knows what to expect. He could probably be a little bit more consistent. I think his first 2 seasons were just like, dude, just go hoop. We don't care what you do. We could lose games. We literally don't care. But
Mhm.
now it's like, okay, we're actually building a roster here. We're winning games. We have a bit of a role for you now. Like we want to do something special. So I
Yeah,
think it's
absolutely. And I love that. Another question to bounce off that is because Jalen Green is now kind of the guy on the Houston Rockets till Sengun comes back. So
yeah.
I'm wondering, I know this is a very small sample size, so if you're not confident, I completely understand.
Mhm.
Is Jalen Green, because he's looked like it now, is this a guy you can build the team around as a one or two guy?
I would still say no, only because it's kind of I don't want to say it's a big man's league, but you look at the guys who are the best players in the league, it's those bigs, and you got Sengun right there. So I think they could work great as a duo. When you have a big like Sengun who can pass like that, and a guy like Jalen who can just score, flat out score, that's a perfect combo because
Mm.
they'll just work together. Like it's like now this is a stretch, by the way. It's kind of like a Jamal Murray Jokic thing where like Jokic can kind of just do that Jokic shit, and then Jamal Murray can score. They work really well together just because of those reasons. I think I'm not gonna say they're gonna reach Jokic Jamal Murray levels at all. That's not what I'm getting at. But
Mm.
like it's the same kind of thing where you got Sengun who can pass the ball and kind of just literally do everything except play defense, and then Jalen Green who can just score. So as long as Sengun sets him up correctly, buckets. So
And that's a
yeah,
duo I want to see working because we haven't really, I mean, we've seen the flashes, but we haven't seen on a consistent basis when Sengun and Jalen Green have been the same roster. But if they can make that work, that'd be so exciting because I think Jalen Green is a guy a lot of NBA teams would die for because when things are slowing down, you need a spark. And Jalen Green's just that highlight ready to produce that spark. And if you
yeah.
compare him with a guy that can move the ball like Sengun, you just have something magical making.
Hmm.
I just think this Rockets team, they kind of worked on this offseason, get a little more veterans, get some more experience in there instead of having this not small, this young AAU lineup. And this Rockets team and Jalen Green can be a lot of fun. I see you got to pair
Yeah.
Jalen Green with a solid defender next to him because Jalen Green is not a defender in the slightest. But you get someone
Mm-mm.
next to him that could defend and a point guard that can move the ball. And
Hmm.
I can see a lot of potential for the Rockets in the future.
I
And
agree.
I'm excited to see where this team's going to go because whether they squeeze in the play in or they're going to be in the lottery, I think the guy they can be looking for can be here this offseason if they suck. And if they can win games, they can win games. We can see what happens because before you know it, the Rockets can have an interesting lottery and Rob Dilling and Reed Shepard can be on the board, or they could compete for a spot in the playoffs. I
Do
think
you
this,
think? Nah, that's a random question. Never mind.
no, it's all good, but I think there's a lot going for Houston. The only thing I am begging for is Jalen
Hmm.
Green to stay consistent because if this guy stays consistent, then we will know why he was the number two pick in the draft because
Yeah.
the guy is so exciting to watch. These are my favorite type of players. That doesn't mean they're the best players, but I will happily turn on my league pass, which I pay half off for because of my student email. But I will happily turn out
Mm.
big brains. But I will happily try my league pass to watch this Houston Rockets basketball team because they're exciting. Not even just Jalen Green, but you have Jabari Smith, Tari Eason, Sengun when he's healthy, and then
Whitmore,
not Whitmore. That was a guy. I was gonna say Jarris Walker. Like that's a pacer.
Thompson too.
Yeah, like dude, oh, I forgot about him, man. Like, dude, the
Yeah.
Rockets, something exciting here is building. I can't wait to see how this
Yeah.
offseason goes for him because the future is here. Before we
Yeah.
move on, Everton, do you have any other comments you'd like to say about Jalen Green or the Rockets in
Um,
general?
well, it's kind of a random thing with Jalen, but I've been watching Jalen since high school. And anybody who watched Jalen Green in high school knows how cool, like how nice this dude was. So I've seen this since high school. Like he had the crazy athleticism. The bag was always there. And I figured, as time went on, he'd, kind of refine his game just to, kind of be more NBA ready. And, I'm gonna toot my own horn here, if that's okay.
Go
The
ahead.
G League Ignite. I don't think that really, gave him the
Oh
best
man.
you know,
Yeah. Now,
kind of
Everton,
called it.
talk to him. Talk to him. What happened in that hot takes episode? What do you say about the G League Ignite?
I said the G League Ignite hasn't done a thing. And look
Mm-hmm.
what happened.
What
They're
happened? What
gone.
happened to him, Everton?
They got packed up. What were they? 2 and
Goodbye.
28? 2 and 28? Goodbye.
Good
Good
night,
riddance.
Moon. Good night,
Bye bye. I
team.
don't even know why they made a team. They should have just let them go into the G League. But
Literally.
neither here nor there. But yeah, I've been watching him since high school and seeing where he's at now. I think as long as, like you said, if he could, consistency will always be the biggest thing with Jalen Green. Like flashes have always been there since he was a rookie. Like I think he had
Mhm.
a 40-point game against the Lakers at one point. Like we've seen the flashes. It's just about, yo, can you do this on a night-to-night basis? And not even just like post All-Star break. We need to do it at the beginning of the season too. So I think that's his biggest thing.
Yeah, absolutely. The flashes are there. One more question before we move on.
For sure.
And not a whole team breakdown, so I don't want to get too deep into it, but Rockets, can they squeeze into this playoff spot and can they compete if they were to make it? Let's assume Sengun can get healthy in time.
I'm gonna say no, only because one Sengun is still hurt, but the West is just too stacked, bro. And I think it's gonna be hard for them to pass some of those other teams. So I wouldn't be surprised if they did squeeze in there, by the way. So not taking it out of the cards, but I'm gonna say no.
I unfortunately do agree, but I think this team, if you give them one, maybe 2 seasons, this is gonna be a top 4 team in the West, and that's
Yeah.
something I could stand on because these young guys, the potential is oozing, and they got a great
Yeah.
coach as well. If they could keep the band together, I'm excited for the future of the Rockets.
If you play 2K by 2026, they're a top seed. So
Yep.
just saying.
2K knows. No, they
Yeah.
don't.
No, they
They don't. Ronnie knows nothing.
nothing, bro. I'm not gonna go on a rant about 2K though. That's a different time.
Thank you so much for tuning into this segment of the 5 Out Podcast. I am Joey the Master LeMaster, and me and Everton are so thankful for your guys' support. If you want to keep supporting us, please check out the full podcast on Spotify and follow our TikTok account. Both of those will be in the bio, and make sure to leave a like and stay smooth.